I didn't think I was going to like this movie because, as you guys know, I don't like period pieces. I don't
I
necessarily.
was going to bring that up.
Yeah, I don't necessarily really like dramas that often, like heavy drama. So I was like, well, I'm not going to like this. But when I tell you, like, instantly hooked, first minute of this movie, like I was emotional throughout the whole movie. And I'm not saying like crying like the whole time. I did cry a bunch, but like just emotional. Like it made me, I had the feeling of like on the verge of welling up, literally from start to finish.
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Hey now, welcome back, gentlemen.
Ahoy.
What's up?
Welcome back, folks at home. This is episode 159. How you guys doing? You feeling all right? Dusty had the super flu. Marvin had some shit. What's going on? We good? Everybody back in full health?
Finally better, yeah. Feel like I've been sick for 2 weeks.
Damn, feels good to be back.
When that sickness hits, boy, whoo! I know all about that. My sicknesses last for months, I feel like, whenever I get sick. But again, knock on wood, I haven't been sick this year.
Nice.
I dodged the Christmas sickness, which was huge for me because that's my annual. I dodged getting sick at Nick's surprise party, which I thought for sure was going to take me. I'm good. I might be a Kryptonian. I don't know. I got them good genes under the yellow sun. Hope everybody listening is doing well. Hope you've had a good 2 weeks. We're back. We're talking about Train Dreams today. Movie I was excited to watch. One of the few we didn't actually get to watch in 2025. That was like one of the bigger or the more talked about releases. Well, I don't know. It's talked about, but not really like talked about. You know what I mean? But we're talking about it today. So stick around for that. What have you guys been up to? You been doing anything fun? Anything cool? What have you been watching?
Well, I've been watching Fallout season 2. It's ongoing weekly. Yeah.
I didn't
pretty
start
solid,
that yet.
pretty good. A little bit of a slow start, but it's definitely picked up.
Okay.
In the more recent episodes, I'm enjoying it. They're apparently coming out with some Fallout reality TV show. I don't know if you guys saw that. That's pretty funny.
No, I didn't see that.
It's like some Mr. Beast type shit going on there.
There's no need for that. Just it's like, why does everything has to be just milked and commodified and just make a show and let it be that. That's it. Come on.
I also did read, and I meant to cover this last time, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were reading that. What'd you think?
Man, it was so damn good. Yeah, it was really good. The art was amazing.
Nice.
It was definitely wordy, but not as wordy as like I was telling you how I read V for Vendetta, and that was a bit of a struggle for me. So I'll have to revisit that for sure.
Well, V for Vendetta, he's like talking about like philosophical, like political stuff, and
but he's also doing it in like a Shakespearean. It was good though. But for Supergirl, I learned some cool little things about DC Universe, like that planet that was created to trap Superman. I forget the name of it. I'm really interested to see her struggle on the big screen, and I wonder if it'll still be told from Ruthie's POV. Okay, I also watched Nobody 2.
Oh yeah, that's right. You mentioned that when we were texting one night. How was that? I hadn't gotten around to it yet.
It was cool. It definitely just felt like a Grand Theft Auto mission though. Like really? The whole movie, like it didn't really have much plot or substance or story to it, really. But it was a fun watch, but it really just felt like a Grand Theft Auto mission, like literally. Like it was so chaotic and goofy and like just wild that it was just like, this is I can see where they would go with this if they continue to do more of these. It's just kind of be more of that.
I really liked the first one. Is it like the first one or is it worse?
I don't think it was good as the first one.
It's just different. Definitely not as good. It's just completely like, they just abandoned most of the, I mean, it still got the similar stuff, like where he's like a dad that's like living a double life, but like, it's just like, it's just goofy. His way is different. The first one had way more serious like undertones, it felt like. Whereas this one's like, he's still protecting his family and that sort of thing, but It
Right.
was just like so extreme. Yeah.
I'm hoping we've like
Yeah,
moved
this one
on.
it didn't really take itself as seriously. It was like blatantly more ridiculous.
Yeah.
What's interesting though
It's
is like
pretty funny.
you have obviously Bob
my
Odenkirk, who is a hilarious. He's so upset. Just pet him, please. He loves you. You have Bob Odenkirk, right? Like, who's a hilarious actor and a hilarious sketch comedy actor specifically. So, like, I feel like that's a cool opportunity for a movie of this genre, this shoot 'em up, like, and find out genre,
Yeah.
the John Wick genre, to do something a little bit different with that genre because he's a comedy guy, right? And you could make it like really funny and stuff. And the first one didn't really do that. The first one kind of like, it's not as serious as John Wick, but it's like still pretty kind of serious. And so you would hope that like with him, you would kind of do something a little bit different, but whatever. I hope as a culture, we've like moved away from these types of movies now. Like they're a little boring at this point, I feel like. Because they're all very samey. They're just taking the John Wick, the John Wick template and applying their own bullshit to it. So it's like, well,
Yeah.
all right.
Well, I mean, yeah, revenge movies have always had the tropes, and
Of
they've
course,
always kind of been the same. John Wick took it to another level with the realism of the gunfights and stuff, which Hollywood had gotten wrong for decades.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it shined. But after they make 7 of those movies, people are like, yeah,
Right.
okay,
John
it's
Wick,
unkillable. It's like, what are we doing here?
John Wick also breaks the fourth wall a little bit, which is personally why I love it. I don't know if other people appreciate it as much as me. I think I've talked about it here before, but like John Wick is one of the first movies that I've ever seen that does the thing that you do as the audience for you. Like when you're sitting there watching a movie and you're like, oh, this guy up, like he up, and you know it's gonna come. Like the movie does that for you, where it's like with the little the dialogue in the text where it's like, well, not the text, but like, the scene where he goes to see his dad and his dad's like, I can't protect you. Like you up. Like,
it's not what you did. It's who you did it to.
Yeah. Who the nobody? That nobody is John Wick. And you're like, yes. Like, so that was the first time I've ever really kind of seen that. So that was cool and new and unique. And then, like you said, the movies just kind of became parodies of themselves over the course of however many John Wick movies there are now. I lost count at this point. That's cool. I'll watch Nobody 2 eventually. I watched another movie like that a while back. I don't even remember if I talked about it on the show. It was the one with Ke Huy Quan that they had done. He got like cast in it after his like Everything Everywhere All at Once stardom. I think it was called what was it called? Love Hurts.
Oh yeah.
And like it's just an action movie. He's like a little puny nobody real estate agent who's also a trained assassin or whatever. And it was like fun. It wasn't a good movie. It was okay. Takes place on Valentine's Day. And so it's just like they're all just cookie cutter at this point. So but yeah. A lot of stuff in the news this week. Why don't we get into some news? There's a lot of stuff to cover. And I don't even know where to begin. So why don't you start, Dusty? You're the news man.
Okay. Well, we had the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
Quick breakdown. I don't know if we really need to go through it. Marty Supreme. Oh shit! Hold on, I'm losing my screen. Marty Supreme got Best Actor, so Chalamet won that, and a deep pool, one battle after another. I think took home most of the other major awards. Hamnet got a couple itself, and that's one that's been on my list of movies I kind of want to watch. So
I've heard Hamnet's
So
real good.
Chalamet won over One Battle,
Let me.
Sinners.
Mhm.
What else? What am I missing?
Everything.
So
He
yeah.
won over everything.
The Secret
That's
Agent,
crazy.
Sinners, Sentimental Value. It was just an accident. Oh no, this is Best Motion Picture. Let me see. Best Actor.
Best performance by male actor in a musical or comedy.
I got it.
Oh, that's right. It was musical or comedy.
It's going to
I
be
guess,
Ethan
so.
Hawke and Blue Moon, George Clooney and Jay Kelly, Jesse Plemons and Begonia, Lee Bin-hung and No Other Choice, Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another, and Marty Supreme, Timothy Chalamet. So yeah.
I haven't
Oh
seen
yeah, you got to go to the other one, Dan. This is drama,
Where we at? Best performance in
musical, or comedy.
Oh, okay, so this is different than the Oscars.
This is
just so you
like
know.
baby games. Yeah, this
The
one
Oscars
doesn't
doesn't
count.
do
Sorry,
this.
guys.
They'll just do best actor.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
no. They break it down into categories to help people
Yeah.
because this is all build up. Like, and there, I saw an
Right.
article earlier. I almost used as the segue piece because it was talking about how William H Macy might get nominated for best supporting, even though he hasn't been in any of the big ones. But some of the precursor stuff, like he was on the Pittsburgh Choice Awards and some other regional choice awards, so he could get a nod.
For
Even
Train
though,
Dreams, he should. He was. We'll talk about
Yeah.
it, but
He
Yeah.
should. Yeah. So Golden Globes don't matter, or they do matter.
Nah.
What's the consensus here?
They help voters decide, but as far as like the news goes, that also all the ballots had to be turned in. Oscar ballots have officially been turned in, so Friday the 16th was the deadline for submission. So really, whoever won, it didn't matter. The ballots were already turned in. I think the Golden Globes were Saturday, or were they Friday? I don't know.
can we just talk about what a good-looking man George Clooney is? I mean, man, if I could,
Fine wine.
if I could look like that when I'm his age, whew, baby, what a good-looking guy.
Who was it? I think it was Matt and Ben were on Joe Rogan recently.
Yeah.
And they were talking about him and how he started out in ER and he
Mhm.
wanted to go to the movies. And like, you don't do that. That's once you're in TV, you're just stuck. You don't get to jump.
What is
in
that
the movies.
from? That's from a Kevin Smith movie. They have that joke about actors that transition from TV to film. What movie is that in? Do you remember?
Ooh.
I think it's a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Anyway, no. To answer your question, Marvin, the Golden Globes don't really matter. It's like the mini award, right? And like Dusty said,
Yeah.
it does usually kind of foreshadow what's to come in the Oscars, but it matters even less because let's not forget that first of all, this year's Golden Globes was a complete sham, okay, and like a joke. So let's not forget the Golden Globes aired on CBS, which is now state-owned propaganda media run by Barry Weiss. And,
Oh yeah.
right. Okay.
Yes, I remember we talked about this.
And
The racist guy,
well,
allegedly.
yes, the Golden Globes is also owned by Paramount, who owns CBS, and David Ellison. So once again, we are back into the Ellison sphere of influence. Okay. This is why I said we talk how dangerous it is that this wants to, and they're kicking and screaming, by the way, but we'll get into that. This is why it's so dangerous that they want to buy Warner Brothers because they
Right.
own everything. Okay.
Yeah.
So David Ellison owned Propaganda Media Channel, was running the Golden Globes, and guess what happened? Okay. They had Polymarket bets peppered on screens
right.
for the entirety of the show. Random UFC fighters were just like shambling across the stage doing like weird shit. UFC is of course, in bed with our criminal fascist government for some reason. And Polymarket. It's like our whole government is just some Nazi betting gambling ring.
It's a betting ring.
It's
yeah.
like the weirdest like mafia thing I've ever seen in my life going on. But anyhow, they obviously we talked about what's going on with Sinners and how Sinners is probably getting snubbed because it's a black movie and because Ryan Coogler had the balls to want to own his own film in 25 years. They had what's his name? Knocked Up director. Hack. Judd
Great
Apatow.
movie.
Yeah, great movie, but Judd Apatow hasn't made a good movie in, I don't know, 15, 20 years almost, probably. But yet they felt that he was relevant enough to come up and introduce the Best Actor award, a Best Director award. And in the Best Director award category, let me find it here. Where are we? Best Director. We had several actors of foreign origin. Chloe Zhao for her movie Hamnet. Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein. Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, Paul Thomas Anderson, who is American, and Ryan Coogler. So Judd Apatow comes up and makes a joke, literally at the expense of these foreign filmmakers' names, and says, "Oh, this one's hard to pronounce. Paul Thomas Anderson." And it was so on the nose and obvious that that Jafar Panahi, the camera's on him, and he goes like this. He makes like a face, like, "What the fuck?" It was just the most cringy moment I've ever seen. On top of a lot of cringy moments, it was just one of the worst award shows I've ever seen. A week prior, at one of the other award shows, it might have been Critics' Choice Awards, another foreign director won his award on the red carpet interview. They didn't even have they didn't even like give it to him during the ceremony. They were just like here while he's like on camera interviewing on the red carpet. Like,
what?
Yeah, it's just the craziest shit ever. So I don't know, a lot of bizarre stuff that went on at this Golden Globe. So. I don't know. I don't really have any high hopes for the Oscars, but
even with it not mattering, well, I haven't seen Marty Supreme.
I haven't either. But that movie's getting some crazy preferential treatment. Just
yes.
saying.
So it has to be like a marketing thing or something. But I feel like Plemons should have won over Chalamet for.
Jesse Plemons' performance in Begonia is one of the best performances I've seen in literally a decade. Okay?
Yeah.
Joel Edgerton's performance in Train Dreams is one of the best performances I've seen in 20 years. If Joel Edgerton doesn't win Best Actor for Train Dreams, nothing matters. He's better than Leo was in One Battle After Another, but we got to talk about that movie. So, like, and then there's whatever.
But Plemons was better than Leo in One Battle. So
I think so. I mean, Leo was great. Don't get me wrong, great performance. But like, that movie is being glazed pretty hard. It's a great movie.
That's just it's some weird shit going on there.
I think it's just people got that Paul Thomas. People are high off of Paul Thomas Anderson's farts. Like, he's a great filmmaker, but like, I mean, give it a break.
Yeah.
And, but this other one, this Timothée Chalamet movie, this one's this is a psyop. Like, I haven't seen it yet, but like something weird's going on there. Let's move on to the latest in the Netflix Warner Brothers saga. I see you have a Variety article here that Netflix announced
Ted
that
Sarandos.
Yeah, the ghoul.
He's reiterated his insistence that Netflix wants to win at the box office, and specifically that Netflix would keep a 45-day window for theatrical Warner Brother movies. Quote, "When this deal closes, we will own a theatrical distribution engine that is phenomenal and produces billions of dollars of theatrical revenue that we don't want to put at risk. We will run that business largely like it is today with 45-day windows. I'm giving you a hard number. If we're going to be in the theatrical business, and we're competitive people. We want to win. I want to win opening weekend, and I want to win the box office." And that's so all our speculation about maybe a 15-day window only. He's saying, no, put my foot down. We're sticking to the 45-day. Get off my fucking back about it.
This seems promising because it's not like he has to lie to anybody. Like, he could buy Netflix regardless of what anybody thinks. So it's not like, I mean, he could buy Warner Brothers regardless of what people think about it. So it's like, he really has no reason to lie and like convince people that he wants to do this. So that's a little promising. But beyond this, the Netflix Warner Brothers deal has been in the headlines all week.
Yep. Paramount Skydance still waging a hostile takeover.
They want to say he did say largely remain the same. So
yeah, I'm sure it's going to vary.
He leaves himself some room for changing.
Well, because probably if I had to guess, what they would do is like, it's a window, right?
Yeah.
45-day being the maximum.
Yep.
It's probably just going to be what it is right now. Like, Train Dreams was in the theaters for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or something.
I think the thing that caught me about this, Marvin, is he says, we will run that business largely like it is today with 45-day windows. So anything that comes out of WBD, they will give the 45-day window. But if you go to Netflix, they're like, we want to buy your movie. And you're like, okay. They're like, we're putting it straight to digital, or we're only going to give you a 15-day because you're not going through Warner Brothers Discovery, the company we bought with the 45-day window we said we'd keep. So they might still everybody else whose movie they buy and say, no, you get no theatrical release, or you only get 15-day. We don't care because you're not coming through WBD. So So we
Right.
may see
That's
that. But yeah.
So in addition to that, there was some news. Paramount is kicking and screaming, boy. They're
Yep.
throwing a tantrum over this Netflix purchase of Warner Brothers. So apparently, CEO David Ellison has been meeting with prominent European political figures in an attempt to derail Netflix's acquisition of Warner Brothers from being approved by the EU. So that is from Deadline reporting on that. In addition to that, there was a judge. This is from Variety. A judge rejected Paramount Skydance's motion to expedite Warner Brothers Discovery trial, seeking details on Netflix deal. So while they're like literally pulling out all the stops to try to derail this,
Everything.
they're going to European regulators to be like, hey, no, you can't approve this. They're trying to halt the purchase in the courts, trying to like get like the terms of the deal public or something like that. Like they're trying.
They're also they're initiating a proxy war to install directors on WBD's board amenable to the offer.
Yeah.
So they'd be willing to change some of the bylaws. One specifically, it would require shareholder approval to break off the cable TV business, because right now they're like, yeah, we're just going to break it off and sell it. We don't give a fuck. We're keeping our shit.
like
This shit
they want the
reminds
whole
me
thing.
of that corporate takeover that happened in Yellowstone.
Look
and
at
then
this.
It resulted in all those murders. You remember that?
I do remember that. Look at this. Look at this absolute creature, bro.
Who is this?
This is David Ellison. Yeah. When you look like a demon from hell with no eyebrows and shit, like you're not a good person. We know. But like no means no, dude. But people like this don't know the word no. That's why they all are.
No.
You know what I'm going to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They don't know the meaning of the word no. When you're rich and powerful and can get everything you want. So yeah, they're suing Warner Brothers. They want financial details of the deal, and a judge blocked it. So luckily, there are still some levers of checks and balances within our government. I'm surprised there hasn't been a decree from the king himself over this yet.
I
But
think he's got bigger issues.
yeah, he's got bigger fish to fry.
Did you see that tariff news over the
he's
weekend? That's off topic, but
tariffing
yeah.
everybody, invading Iran, Greenland,
Yeah,
Mars.
he's got
Who knows? We're gonna be.
Yeah.
He's gonna announce we're taking over
Greenland.
another galaxy in a couple weeks. Andromeda. We're going after the Andromedans. The Andromedans can't get away with this for too long. They haven't been paying their fair share of tariffs.
He's gonna quote Bugonia with that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is crazy. They're just not going away, Paramount. Like they want Warner Brothers bad.
They want it bad.
And that should tell you all there is to know. Like this isn't just because like it's a business deal. No, there's
Right.
like
No
a
one
very,
wants
Yeah.
like
there's a very specific
WB themselves are selling it. So it's like,
Right.
come on now. Like what's happening here?
there's a very specific goal at play here, right? They're trying to tell lawmakers that the Warner Brothers deal would be presumptively unlawful, and they're arguing that it would further cement Netflix's dominance in streaming video on demand. So they're just like pulling from every different legal possibility there is. Like they're just going so hard. But this was interesting. Netflix apparently is considering shifting the deal for Warner Brothers to cash. So Netflix has discussed revising its cash and stock deal for Warner Brothers Studios and streaming assets to all cash, according to a Bloomberg report. The shift would come as Paramount continues to tout its hostile $30 a share all cash offer for Warner Brothers Discovery as superior to the deal that the David Zaslav led company inked with the giant streamer. So like they're just going
$23 a share or something. There was like $7 difference or whatever.
They're going tit for tat. Netflix is
huge,
like, oh,
yeah.
you want to offer all cash? Fine, we'll do all cash too. Fuck off. It's
Right.
just this is
Yeah.
it's one of the most bizarre
Dude,
things I think we've ever seen. I don't
All
know.
cash is insane. Isn't it like 80 billion?
Yeah.
83 billion.
Something like that. Yeah,
All cash.
all cash, baby. Moving on,
Yep.
possibly the biggest news of the
oh
week.
my gosh. This
Possibly
one
the
had
biggest
me
news of the decade.
cracking up. Well, we've been talking about it for goddamn like 2 years. The
Yeah.
rumors. Is she? Isn't she? No, she's not. She's definitely not. She never was.
Everyone's greatest
Kathleen
enemy.
Kennedy is gone. Well, not necessarily. That's a funny thing because I watched a couple reactions this morning because I saw Screen Rant posted a video and I didn't get through it because the guy he had on was freezing and stuttering. And it was just like, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. What you said, you're freezing up on me. And that was like the first 10 minutes of it. So I just stopped listening. But what I got from his, at least what I watched of it is he's like, this was unexpected. I was like, what? We've been talking about her leaving for 2 years. Like, she denied the rumors wholeheartedly last year, I think. And then he does not like Dave Filoni. It seems like he's sad that Kennedy's gone and Filoni's taking over. Whereas like somebody like Star Wars Theory was like, thank God she's gone. Please, Filoni, cancel everything and just fix it and do it right. So
I think I heard the critical drinker bust a nut when this news came out.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I haven't watched his reaction because I don't really care.
I haven't either.
Star Wars Theory, he's a man that like loves Star Wars. Yeah, he wanted to design lightsabers for the movies. Yeah, he is. But I think his stuff on Star Wars is pretty good. I like his content.
Yeah, he knows Star Wars.
On Star Wars specifically. Yeah, he does.
But like
sure.
Everything's woke.
So yeah, after nearly 14 years, Kathleen Kennedy is stepping down as president of Lucasfilm. That should be done by the end of the week. The new president chief creative officer is Dave Filoni. Now, Dave Filoni was handpicked by George Lucas, almost groomed, you could say, to take over, even though he let Kennedy, he gave Kennedy the job before they were bought out. But he was given head of animation. And so he's co-president along with Lin-Wen Brennan, who also came up, I think, in the animation department, more on the business side. It seems like as these co's, this is going to be like the James Gunn, Peter Safran, where one is more focused on the business and one is more focused on the creative storytelling side,
right?
Which I think is been pretty well for them. So this is two people who love Star Wars, who have been in Star Wars their whole life, always worked there. They get to take over as co-CEOs. Yeah. So Kathleen will continue to produce. So we got an email from studio boss Alan Bergman, and it said she'll continue to produce, and the stellar teams at Lucas, ILM, and Skywalker Sound behind it all. Audiences can look forward to iconic Star Wars storytelling and beyond for a long time to come. So the next two films she's going to be producing are Mandalorian Grogu and the Star Wars Starfighter.
Yeah.
So yeah. Finally gone. Dave
Filoni is I don't know, questionable, but people seem to think he's like the next, like the perfect person to carry George Lucas's torch.
He's a great creative that pays homage to the original story instead of just taking a dump on it like some people think Kathleen Kennedy has. And I know, like Ryan Airy was talking about his problems with what Dave Filoni has done, and my argument to that would be, how do you know those were his decisions?
What
how
did
do you
he
know
say about
that
it?
He didn't have. I didn't get into I cut it off before he complained about what Dave Filoni did. Like, he has some problems with Ahsoka, or how Dave is just trying to tie all the old original trilogy stories into some of his stuff, like to continue along the storyline.
I think Dave Filoni has he had a pretty tough, like, all right, everybody likes Mandalorian. Mandalorian got a little boring after like the second season to me. It's all
but that was
I don't really have.
What's a Favreau?
Yeah, but Filoni was part of it. He co-wrote it.
Yeah, but I think that was Jon Favreau that did.
They co-wrote it together. They worked on it together. Anyhow, point being is that I think Filoni, one of his goals when he came into this was to try to put together all the broken, fractured pieces of the universe into like sort of one cohesive thing, because they are all over the place. You have like the prequels and the whole mythology, and then you have the video game mythology that talks about like all sorts of stuff. So like it is a lot of stuff, but that's besides the point. Kathleen Kennedy is everybody's favorite villain. Like, she destroyed Lucasfilms and like this, that, and the other thing. Every time something bad happens, it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. When a woman gets cast in a movie, it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. When a movie's bad, it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. Regardless of what you might think of her, people, I don't think appreciate the world of shit that she's constantly in, dealing with probably the most toxic fandom on Earth. All fandoms have their toxicity for sure, but Star Wars has passionate fans, and what comes with that passion is toxicity, unfortunately, because people think they want to defend the thing that they like, but they do it in a fucking toxic manner. And like Star Wars is fractured between people who love the OG trilogy but hate the prequels, people who love the prequels but think the OG trilogy is overrated, people who hate the new trilogy, so it's like all over the fucking place. So literally nothing she does, no decision she makes will be good.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that
I think
aside,
she just forced people into the new and away from the old, which I think it's antithetical to what you should do with your fans. It's like going to a concert. You go to a Bruce Springsteen concert and he just put an album out and he only plays all the songs of his new album. Nobody's going to have a good time at that concert.
I agree.
They're going to hate it and he's going to take a lot of shit. You have to play some of the classics. You have to play the throwbacks. You have to get those people came because they paid money because they want to see that shit that they love. And when you deny them that, it's like the whole Star Wars park at Disneyland where it was supposed to be like Vader and the Wookiee, Chewie and Han, and she's like, no, this is the Force Awakens, this is goddamn this is Rey and Kylo, and that's all it's going to be. And now that she's stepping down, they're like, no, we're not doing that, we're bringing back Vader, we're bringing back the Wookiee and Han, and like that when they built that place, it was supposed to be an homage to the original trilogy. She said, no, it's the new trilogy, this is Force Awakens. And people were pissed off about that. So, like, there are valid complaints to her, like,
totally
isolating the fan base that George Lucas created. So,
absolutely. Yeah. So, anyway, we'll see what happens. I just want to leave people with this thought. Okay. Regardless of how you feel about Kathleen Kennedy and whether she's ruined Star Wars or not, she's literally probably the most successful movie producer of all time and will remain that way. Look at this list of movies that she's produced and had a hand in.
She gets a producer credit and not have to do anything just because
producers have more, but producers generally have more. It's not the same as like when a actor just like throws money at something and his name is in the production credits. She's always
co-producer credits. Yeah,
she's been pretty heavily involved in a lot of stuff over the years. But let's just real quick: E.T., Color Purple, Money Pit, Empire of the Sun, Arachnophobia, Hook, Jurassic Park, Milk Money, Bridges of Madison County, Congo, Twister, The Sixth Sense.
It's a good Make Marvin watch list, really.
Really, yeah, actually. Benjamin Button, Tintin, Lincoln, like Star Wars, all the Star Wars movies, Gremlins, The Goonies, Back to the Future. Like her list of movies that she has been a part of is staggering. Okay, so like,
really is.
That's all.
I hope she continues producing great movies, and I really do. Like, I hope she gets back to like producing great movies and not being in charge of a franchise like this. Because
yeah. Listen, you need a creative.
We got some good stuff out of it, but overall, I've been disappointed.
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, you need a head. You need a head of a creative force who appreciates the product the way Kevin Feige was at one point, at least with Marvel. I don't know if he's still that because we all know what's going on there.
Tell.
But yeah, you need to have that singular decision maker that appreciates the source material as much as the new stuff. And yes, I agree with you. The last decade of Star Wars has been pretty bad, with the exception of Andor. And whatever, Mandalorian was okay. It was fun for a while, but yeah, Kathleen Kennedy out. Some say good riddance, and some don't give a fuck.
So we got Clint Bentley, the director, talking to Hollywood Reporter here. This question, this is your second feature, and it's come a long way from Sundance to where we are now. This and Jockey share a certain deliberate pace and focus on smaller moments. Has the trajectory here felt reaffirming for your voice as a filmmaker? To which Clint responds, it's something I give a lot of thought to because this was a big bet in a lot of ways. What I'd started exploring in Jockey, I was trying to grow without losing it and develop a cinematic language further and be thoughtful to the audience, but also be very particular to what that style is and what my interests are. I was raised in the sticks on a cattle ranch in the middle of nowhere. I didn't have access to art house cinemas or anything like that. I wanted to make a film that felt like what Robert Bresson or Andrei Tarkovsky does for me. But translating that to folks who might never watch Persona, it's a second film, and I feel like I'm very much just beginning to figure out what I'll do as a filmmaker. It's incredibly encouraging that people have connected with it in a way that they have, in a way that I didn't think they would, but I'm not looking at this as a stepping stone to some big tent pole, which I thought was very interesting. A great take. And there was a lot of people talked about this movie, I think, in the first weekend, but he was offline. He had some family members over. And the reporter asked, did you stay offline intentionally that first weekend? He says, I make peace with what I've made. I have thoughts about it. I have notes on Trainstream, and he laughs. But I'm also very proud of it, and I'm happy with what it is. If I get a good review or a bad review, it's not really pushing me one way or the other in terms of how I feel about the project. And just in general, I try not to spend a lot of time online if I can help it. We got a really bad review from a critic who I really look up to and admire as a film lover. There are those reviewers and those critics that you connect with and you want to hear what they think about, so on. But when you get a bad review, somebody from you respect, at the same day, you got a note on Instagram from somebody, from a father who lost his child and had trouble moving beyond that. And he wrote this long letter to Clint telling him this film helped him move on. So it's like, it all balances out. So he doesn't give a shit about the reviewers. That's kind of, we make fun of it and we do reviews and whatnot, but let's like, I love hearing directors say shit like that. I've got my own personal notes on what I thought I could have done better or not, but I don't give a fuck what reviewers think.
Good. Without sounding pretentious, like this is an art form. And at the end of the day, you got to just make your art and not worry about box office numbers and reviewers and critics and all these people. Make the thing that you want to make and it'll find its audience. And that's how it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's really good to hear. And I look forward, I haven't seen any of his other movies, but I do look forward to seeing what other stuff he makes in the future. So what I wanted to bring up.
Was it Sing Sing was the last movie
Sing Sing, yeah.
He worked on with the same guy?
Yeah. That's like a prison movie.
Yeah. Got an Oscar nom last year?
I think so.
I don't know if it won, but it definitely got a nom.
So we've been talking a lot lately, the three of us, debating a little bit. Marvin specifically coming at me. Big disagreement about the sort of state of cinema, whether it's needed, whether movies need to have. We've been talking about these long theatrical releases. What the is there a need for long theatrical releases anymore? What's the benefit of it? I think Dusty, you and Marvin are of the same opinion that like, no, it's just as good watching a movie at home. I don't really agree, and I've posted something in the Discord the other day from what's his name? Who was it that I posted? It was Stellan Skarsgård saying like, "Hey, we need cinema. Like this is what this art form is meant to be. It's meant to be watched on a big screen with people, like taking it all in." And Matt Damon was recently on Joe Rogan. I almost said Howard Stern.
It was him and Ben.
Him and Ben were on Rogan promoting their new movie.
It's a good episode. You guys should watch it. They talk a lot about film.
I'll watch it. I'm going to watch it. But they were on promoting their new film, The Rip, which is on Netflix. And Matt Damon had a lot to say about the film industry and Netflix. And he said that Netflix deliberately dumbs down dialogue because viewers simply don't follow the plot. And we talked about this recently. So Damon said on the podcast that Netflix explicitly asks writers to repeat key plot points multiple times in dialogue, so viewers who are glued to their phones can at least understand what's happening on screen. Watching while scrolling has become the norm, and content is adjusted to fit that habit. This is exactly what I was saying. As a result, the structure of films has broken down. Everything important and cool now has to be crammed into the opening minutes. Otherwise, that's it. People just won't finish the movie. No focus, no patience. Attention spans measured in seconds. The third problem is visuals. Damon says directors no longer see the point in obsessing over cinematography because most people watch movies on phones, tablets, and laptops. Cinema made for the big screen is turning into content for small screens and of matching quality.
He said he likes to make a joke on set when they're going through like the dailies and stuff, or when they're trying to edit stuff. He'll go up to like some pretentious director or some big name. He's like, that's not going to look very good on a phone, right? They're not going to see that lighting that you're trying to get right there. And it's like, fuck you, man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I bring this up not to call you guys out, Marvin, but watching something on, 2x speed, like we joke with you, or skipping forward, or not paying attention to stuff, like that's all normal, but it's because like we have everything in our face. And I try really hard nowadays because I've noticed it happening to me. I try really hard to not be distracted when I'm watching something. Like I try to put my phone away, even if I'm like getting bored and like, because when you sit with a movie, sometimes it hits differently. Like when you're not paying attention, like you're just missing stuff. And like, how could you fully appreciate it, even if you don't like it, right? So the reason I brought that up as a lead into the movie we're talking about today, which is Train Dreams, is because Train Dreams to me represents why we watch movies, why we love movies in the first place, and why we still need that cinematic experience. Like this movie is it. This proves it. This is like art to its truest form, I feel like. Let's get into Train Dreams. What are you gonna say, Marvin?
Well, yeah, let us rebuttal, I guess, because you're misrepresenting our
no,
take.
You're not allowed to say anything.
So I never said that I don't think we need any type of theatrical release. I said we just need less. Like not everything needs a theatrical release, which I think
for sure.
That's
even
pretty true.
Ben says that in the interview. He's like, listen, there are times, and I agree with this wholeheartedly. There are times when you want to go to something and you want to, for the cinematography or the sound, but there are some stuff like you can sit at home and watch and it's no big deal. You're not missing anything. Like if I got to watch Dwayne Johnson's Skyscraper, it's just a burning building and it's all just CGI action. I don't really give a fuck. Watch that on the big screen. But like if the cinematography is there and the sound is there, and Ben also said this, the environment of sitting with a group of strangers and experiencing something together is also, there's something to be said with that. So I definitely think theaters should not go away, and we should go see some things at theaters, but I don't think everything. Not everything needs to be at the theater.
I agree.
Now, how do you determine that is a good question? Hard question, and we can debate it till we are all dead and we won't have an answer. But
I agree with you guys. Where I disagree is that I think when you give leniency to that type of, I guess, thinking of like, well, not everything needs a long release or not everything needs to be released, it starts to edge out these types of movies. Because like Netflix is becoming like it's the dominant platform. It's completely changed the way the industry works. That's more of my point of like, not like, oh yeah, you have to go see everything in the theater. Just that like when you give him an inch, they take a mile, right? So
that's fair.
That's kind of my thing.
At the same time, though, like if a movie is good enough, it's gonna be good wherever you watch it, right? Like I watched this in my bed.
It's fair.
And it was totally fine.
But imagine being
obviously it could have been better, sure, but
it's not that it's just better. It's just a more full experience, in my opinion.
Yeah. We also got to just factor in like,
well, yeah, there's life and jobs and
life and
totally
affordability and all these things. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, by the way.
When's the last time you bought an album on vinyl to hear it not compressed audio format?
I was actually thinking of getting into vinyl, but it's a very expensive hobby if you want to do it correctly. Buying some, I want to get like an old vintage record player.
But you're not getting the full experience on a compressed audio format like streaming or
of course not.
MP3s.
Absolutely, yeah. But funny enough, you mentioned that because Ben Affleck, he was quite the prophet. I just saw an interview he did back in 2003. He literally predicted the subscription like business model for everything. He talked about how like basically Spotify and Apple Music would become a thing, Netflix would become a thing. He like predicted it way back then. He's a smart guy, Ben Affleck. So shout out to him. We live in a world that like refuses to be quiet. We have access to everything, everywhere, all at once, pun intended. We just have a constant, endless flow of information at all times, and most of it is bad stuff. But Train Dreams is a 90-minute rejection of everything that we're currently living through. It's a movie that reminds you about why we love movies in the first place, like why we watch movies, and it's not for the spectacle, but it's for the way it captures like just very, I don't want to say personal, but very like intimate stories about people and places and things. And it's about storytelling. And this movie is about this, just it captures the monumental weight of a completely ordinary life of a man. And sometimes in modern day, it's easy to feel like, the world is shrinking and sort of losing its soul. But for me, this movie felt like an antidote to that. It was very cathartic. And again, it made me remember why we love movies in the first place and why we still need cinema over like just popcorn filler, listen in the background while you're scrolling on Twitter types of movies. So let's get into it. So this is about, so this is directed by Clint Bentley. It's adapted off of a novella, like 150 pages or something like that. Very, very small book that was written by Dennis Johnson. And this stars Joel Edgerton, and he plays our main character, Robert Granier. And he's a laborer in the American West at the turn of the century. So I believe the movie ends in the 1960s and it starts like in the late 1800s, I believe. So the story is told over that time period. And it's just it's the most simple story you could possibly imagine. It's literally we're watching snapshots of this man's life, basically. It's actually, this movie was like flipping through like a picture book that doesn't belong to you, of just like seeing a family's history through photographs. So much so that Clint Bentley filmed it that way with the 4:3 aspect ratio, I believe it is. It looks like you're looking at a Polaroid. But he lives through the falling of the redwoods, the arrival of Halley's Comet in 1910. He sees the moon landing. He witnesses literally the birth of America as we know it today, all while staying a simple man. And it takes place in the Idaho Panhandle, so I guess the Pacific Northwest-ish area is where a lot of it takes place. And throughout the course of the movie, we see him, he falls in love, he starts a family, builds a cabin, and unfortunately he is struck with a tragedy where a forest fire wipes out his home, and his wife and daughter die in the fire, forcing him to live a life of like solitude and sadness and sort of like reflecting on loss. And this movie is a meditation on a lot of things, but it's like loss, loneliness, just the opposite of those things, being happy, and like pretty much just life in general. This movie reminded me a lot of Life of Chuck. So I'm excited to hear what you guys think about it. Dusty, start us off. What'd you think?
There's some very yin yang, I guess, philosophy going on in here. Yeah, when he's talking to the lady at the end, who's the ranger or whatever, the forest ranger. And she's like, the world needs, the guy on the soapbox just as much as they need a hermit in the woods. I think that's really what, if I were to break this movie down into something, it would be that. It's like to everything, there is something else, and there's purpose to everything. And this movie was great. It was slow at the beginning, but once I got to about the 45-minute hour mark, I was hooked in. And so I was like, yeah, this is what this is going to be. This is fascinating. The story was great. Didn't need a whole lot to be a good story. This was just overall, I love this movie.
Yeah. I had a feeling that you were going to like this one because this has got your, I feel like your signature on it of like just a simple life lived, right? Like, not that you could relate to growing up in the early 1900s, but like just the idea of like a simple life, like, off the beaten path a little bit because you're from, Oklahoma. So it's just a simpler type of lifestyle than what I'm used to growing up, 15 minutes outside of Manhattan. What about you, Marvin? What'd you think?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to say I grew up on 500 acres in the middle of nowhere. So,
right. Yeah.
Could run around everywhere barefoot. And
I grew up looking at a skyline. So it's like two different lives. What did you think, Marvin?
Yeah, I love this movie from start to finish, really.
Big.
For me, it just encapsulated like how it felt during that period of history. And it wasn't even that long ago, which is crazy to think about too. Honestly, it was an amazing experience, and it did feel like a thriller during that tragic event that happens. And like just honestly put me on a kind of an emotional roller coaster throughout this movie.
Yeah. I'm emotional now thinking about it. Actually, like
yeah, it makes me. It really does make me glad for modern times and like being able to like work from home and this sort of thing. Like I can't imagine having to leave my family for months on end just to provide for the family. Like
get a splinter and you die at the age of 30.
Yeah. Salute to men that have to do similar things, even in modern times. You know, although technology does lessen that communication burden, but
sometimes you still got to go for a week or two or maybe a month. But yeah, you can always come back and fly back.
It really, like, even the monotony of some of the stuff he was doing, like, it was so well displayed on screen. Like, the cinematography was amazing.
Well, that's the. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's pretty much it.
The monotony of the movie is what you mentioned. That's the point of the movie. Is like how even like the most monotonous thing matters, right?
It matters,
again, similar to Life of Chuck, which shows like how every life matters and every life has some sort of magnitude to it. This is very similar to that, in that this guy has experienced more than what most people would in a lifetime in a couple of years of his life. Think about all the shit that he witnessed. He witnessed literally the birth of America, essentially, the expansion with railroads, and how that was such a monumental moment in history because it shrunk the world. Think about how big the world is and how much smaller it became when you could now travel across the continent, or whatever. What is it? Not transcontinental, but whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You can take a railroad from one place to another and get to a place at like a pretty reasonable amount of time, not like hopping on a horse and carriage and hoping like generations of your family don't die off in the time that it takes you to get there. And like, so he witnessed the birth of the railroad, the falling of the redwoods, which was so beautifully portrayed in this movie through the character played by William H. Macy, Arn Peoples, who was an older man.
Oh yeah, it's a great character.
Oh my God. When Robert, the main character, meets him, like, he's an older man and he's witnessed a lot of stuff himself. And he's talking about how, like, when you cut down a redwood, like he talks about how, like, oh, these trees are 500 years old. He's like, it
hurts you subconsciously, even if you don't think of this.
Doing what we do hurts the body and the soul. Like, it takes a toll on you. You're cutting down things that are 500 years old, and people are like, nah, they're not that old. He's like, yeah, the earth is real old. And oh my God, it's just.
And the other guy, the younger guy's like naivety or whatever, like about, he's like, oh man, they'll grow back by the time, time I'm older. And the old guy's like, was Arn? You said his name was?
Arn, yep.
He's like, that's what I thought when I was young too, but look at us now. It's almost all gone or whatever, right? Like,
this is just like you also mentioned something else about how, like, I forget what you had said, but like the movie represents like a connectivity and everything, and it ends on that. But like, there's a thread, right, that like connects everything, and that like even this guy who's just a guy that nobody would remember ever in history had an impact on the world around him. No matter how small, like, you have an impact.
Yeah.
When you're here and like what you do, and you'll never really know the true depth of like what you influence on Earth, on people that you meet, and vice versa. Like, and this movie's just a meditation on that, of like the people you meet, the people that come into your lives and go out of your lives, and they leave an impact on you, regardless of whether or not you remember them. So I love this movie. It was absolutely beautiful, magnificent. I know we did our favorite movie of the year list already. This isn't my favorite movie of the year, but I think this is probably the best movie of 2025. Like,
this would probably be my number 2.
Yeah, this is
for sure.
This is art. Like, this is what people talk about when they're like, oh, cinema, real cinema. Like, that's pretentious as this is what they're talking about. This is like just magnificent cinematography, shot in
dialogue out of this world too. Like,
it's shot in natural light.
Like the dead tree is as important as the living one. Like,
oh my God,
like the connectivity thing, like you said. Shit's crazy. And then to tie it all together, at the end where he's like, I felt part of everything in that moment. you
Yeah,
know,
for
when
the
he-
first
in
time.
the plane. Yeah.
So one of the things that really I thought blew me away about this movie is the progression of time. Now, Dusty, you said the movie's a little bit
Yeah.
slow. I didn't actually feel like a pacing issue. And it's because you're actually seeing literally like this guy's whole life, 80 years or 76 years or
Yeah.
whatever, over the course of an hour and 40 minutes or whatever it is. But that was such a monumental time in American history, just history in general. And the way that the movie showcases that was so brilliant to me. And it's so simple. It did nothing. It's just showing things that happened. But like the way it was so simplistically done, like they never made it a point to be like, oh, wow, railroads exist now. That's huge. Oh, now roads exist. That's huge. Oh, look, it's Halley's Comet that we know if you read a
Yeah.
book. Whoops. My bag.
Haley's comment.
Halley. Sorry, my bag was falling down. Haley
All
is a
good.
common mispronunciation, Dusty. It is. His name was Edmund Halley. And the comet
I
that
know this.
Oh, okay. And the comet that he discovered and predicted would return every 76 years. Last appeared in 1986, I believe, and then before that was 1910. So it gives you just like a little glimpse of like time period here. But like just these events that happen were not really the focus of the movie. He was. And I thought that was so brilliant that like you're seeing
Yeah.
the moon landing and he's just like, oh, so that's us, right? And she goes, yep,
They're in
that's us.
space. Yeah, what are they doing?
Yeah.
They're in space.
When I
Like,
tell
and he
you-
looks up. That was awesome.
When I tell you I broke down when she said that's us, oh God, I can't even deal because that's like the Carl Sagan thing. Like that's
Yeah.
here, that's us.
Right.
And pale blue dot.
Pale blue
So I'll
dot,
say,
yep.
I didn't know anything about this movie. I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't read any reviews. I didn't read anything. I just knew that the thing was called Train Dreams. Okay. I
Me
didn't
too.
know who directed it. I didn't look anything up. So like the first 30, 45 minutes, I'm like, okay, well, what are we doing here? What's going on? What's happening? And when I settled into the idea of, okay, this is what this is, like it was good from the rest on. So
Yep.
I'll probably have to sit down and rewatch it and appreciate it that much more, but not waiting for like that, you know, you get the introduction and then you got the adversity and then you got the conclusion. That's kind of how
Yeah.
stories are told, where this is just like, this is it. This is what happened. There's like, you know, there's not a
Yeah.
big climax here. There's an understanding at the end that gets you there, but it was just, I guess it was just weird for me to get settled into like, this is what I was watching. And once I did, I loved it from then on and appreciated it more, but it was a little
think-
slow for me to figure out that's what was going on.
No, I think there's actually like beauty to that. Like not like going into something completely blind. Like even if you watch a trailer or read about something, you'll have some kind of like notion or whatever, however you describe it, of what to expect when you're going into something. So I find that I feel like I can enjoy some of these movies a little bit better even when I know nothing about it, like even like not even reading anything about it, like the synopsis or whatever. So it's like,
Mhm.
it's hard for us to do that because we watch trailers and stuff, but there is definitely it's like a really nice thing to be able to do that.
I just read the synopsis on IMDb that it was about a railroad worker, and I watched the trailer and I was like, okay, but everybody was saying how good it was, so I wanted to watch it. I didn't think I was going to like this movie because, as you guys know, I don't like period pieces. I don't
I
necessarily.
was going to bring that up.
Yeah, I don't necessarily really like dramas that often, like heavy drama. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to like this. But when I tell you, like, instantly hooked, first minute of this movie, like, I was emotional throughout the whole movie. And I'm not saying, like, crying, like, the whole time. I did cry a bunch, but, like, just emotional. Like, it made me, I had the feeling of, like, on the verge of welling up, literally from start to finish. The movie just creates this emotion in you. And that,
Yeah.
and like, it's just it's a beautiful movie. That's the only way to say it. It's beautiful. Top down, across the board. Cinematography is beautiful and simple and like just, the music simple and like quiet and like not in your face. And, but really this movie hinges on his performance, and my God, what a performance it was. We talked about
Oh yeah, he killed it, man.
we talked about Leo this year from One Battle. We talked about Jesse Plemons from Begonia. But my God, if this isn't one of the best performances I've seen in the last 20 years, I don't know what is. Like, he doesn't really say much in the movie. It's all just like purely like expressive behavior, I guess. And like the range that he had to express in this movie is unbelievable. Like,
yeah, that's why I said it was like a roller coaster. Like,
yeah,
it's like, the monotonous parts are like this, but then it's like, oh, fuck, some
yeah,
really good shit happens. And then it's like, oh, shit, some really bad shit happens. And it's like, yeah, they just really portrayed it so well. And I would say, too, like the tragedy of the time period was mentioned a few times, too, as far as like, if we were a little bit more advanced, some of this stuff could have been prevented
The
or
heart
not would have
attack,
happened.
yeah,
And they
Mhm.
like the heart attack, but not just that, but like how they put up a fire watch after the fire happens. It's like, man,
Yep.
if that fire watch was there just a few years later or whatever, right? Like his family would still be there and that shit. So they like portrayed that pretty well too.
Yeah, that's actually a great thing to point out, is like, because you're witnessing literally, I mean, how civilization formed, like trial and error,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, you
Oh,
mentioned it, like the
I mean,
progression
you're
of time. They
watching-
portrayed it so well.
mhm.
You're basically just watching somebody experience their progression of what they see as the timeline of existence. Because I think I don't necessarily consider this a period piece per se, because you could have done this like with somebody in New York before they started building up the skyscrapers. That's like a metal worker, and you could have told a similar story across a different time piece or time section, and it would have because you're basically just telling the collapse, or not the collapse, but the extenuation of time through somebody's life.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's a
Measurement, I guess.
it's a century, right, in 90 minutes. So, but that is background stuff, and that's why I thought it was brilliant.
Yes.
And
Was
like
it?
Marvin was just talking about, through narration, you learn little bits and pieces, but it's still background. It's like, oh, he ended up with, he was working with this person who owned a horse and cart, and the person collapses, and he's like, well, if that person had been born a few decades later, that thing that killed him would have been no
Nothing.
problem. They would have found it and
Yeah,
fixed it
it's
easily.
crazy.
Yeah.
They did it with cinematography too, when they pointed at the bridge and they show the
Mhm.
cars
Oh, that
going
was
across.
great.
You're like, oh, we're at this piece of time now.
Because it's like
you
it's showing
start
like
to
a
get it.
monumental thing.
Yes.
Which is like very monumental and important in that time, but then it's like something comes along and almost invalidates it in a way.
Same
It's
thing
like
with
crazy.
the chainsaw when he went to go work back as a
Oh, man,
logger
yeah.
later in life, and
Yeah.
he's like these hothead kids. They're they're like around, and they're not there for like the brotherhood of it, and they're using chainsaws and he's just like, oh wow,
Yeah.
this is real different. And the shot
Yeah.
of the boot on the tree, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah.
so sad. Yeah.
that like just got overgrown and covered with this movie
Yeah.
was just unbelievable. It's like I can't
Yeah.
even really begin
They
to
had so many
express it.
callbacks and like the parallels, like with the shot of the moss on the boots on the tree and then the moss of his house overgrown.
Mhm.
It was so
Yeah,
good.
it was really
Yeah.
really phenomenal. But like I was saying, so the acting, right? Like he gives a performance of a lifetime. Like it is like inward and expressive, and he covers such a range of emotions, from like pain and heartache and like loneliness and longing to like happiness and wonderment, because he is a guy who is like he's taking in this life and this existence of his, that like with wonderment, but like also without like care about what's going on in the broader world. Like he was unimpressed by the moon landing. He was just like, oh, that's cool. And that's
I think
like,
I don't think he was
profound.
unimpressed, so to speak. It was just like it's one of those things you just can't even really
Yeah,
fathom
exactly.
it or process it,
Yeah.
especially if you're not in the know. It's like,
Well, I say unimpressed because if you think about it, he saw the moon landing, and then right after that, he goes to, and he was like, oh, cool, the moon landing. And then he goes to a little like play thing at a theater and was weeping from it.
yeah.
So it just
That's right,
shows you
yeah.
his perspective and like
For sure.
the things that he appreciates, and like he appreciates the simple things because he's a simple man. Like not a simple in like brain, but like simple in experience, and like, and that's the whole point of the movie, is that sometimes even the most ordinary and simple lives are extraordinary, and that's the same message of Life of Chuck.
For sure. Yeah.
So,
because you have to be an extraordinary person to like go through and like just his job, right? Like to be able to wake up and it's like, oh, this is the day I have to leave my family for 4 months.
Besides that, the fact that we even exist is a miracle, not of the biblical sense or religious sense, but the sheer amount of circumstances that need to perfectly coalesce to create life is astonishing. And so that's like kind of the central point, I thought. But besides his performance, which is just, I can't say enough good things about it, top down, the cast was amazing. His wife, Gladys.
Even Will Patton.
Will Patton.
I didn't think it was overly done at all. I loved the narration. I actually enjoy a good narrator in a movie.
Me too.
And Will Patton killed it.
Oh, Will Patton killed it. Simple, quiet, subdued, beautiful. His wife was played by Felicity Jones as Gladys. She was great. Clifton Collins Jr. was Boomer, who was the Native American guy from town that kind of like befriended him and like
store runner
helped him like kind of heal a little bit. Not heal, but like, you know.
Yeah. Just help him get through it. Yeah.
Yeah. Get through the loneliness.
Just being a friend.
Right.
Our girl, Carrie Condon, too.
Carrie Condon played the Firewatch lady, which the ultimate view of like, oh, after the fire blaze.
That's what I was saying.
Destroyed your whole world. Like now we're setting up the Firewatch, but that's how life is. It's like it's
literally life.
It's trial and error. It's like, oh well, we know there's fires now that could happen, so we got to establish something that could try to deal with it. Right?
We didn't know how to build buildings that would sustain earthquakes, and we're getting pretty good at that now.
Right.
Right.
William H. Macy as Arn was just out of this world. If he doesn't win an award for this, I'll fucking cry. If anybody deserves an award, it's him.
Just literally, like, he was just like literally the epitome of wisdom. Like when you think of like a wise old guy, is like he that was him, like personified.
Yep. I don't know if you guys sat through the credits, but I was so moved by this movie that I sat through the whole credits. Because the song by who was the song by?
Frank something?
No. It was
I don't remember.
Nick Cave.
Nick Cave, yeah. When that song started, I decided to stay and listen to the whole song. I didn't sit through all the credits because Netflix does like 30 foreign credits at the end. But
the Nick Cave song is beautiful, but then after that, it goes into William H. Macy singing in the tent. And, playing the harmonica. Oh man, beautiful. I'm actually getting choked up just thinking about the movie now. Like, it's just such a beautiful movie. I
didn't full on cry, but I definitely feel like Dan's on a mission to just make us cry as much as possible if we start the year off like this.
Like this movie is an experience. Like that's the best way to describe it. It's like poetry, but in like movie form. And every aspect of this movie was perfect. The cinematography, like I said, the music, all of it.
Yeah, you really feel for him. And so what do you guys think about the strange woman showing up in the middle of the night?
Well, that was part of the lore that he's told by the Native American guy, Boomer. He tells him the story about the wolf girl, and it's like just a folklore type of thing, I think, that he just kind of had a dream about.
Because he had frequent dreams. And actually was strange about how his dreams kind of foretold what was going to happen, like with the fire. Because he kept dreaming of the fire, and you kept seeing things light on fire in the cabin in his dreams, so... that was interesting too.
He was haunted by the memory of the Chinese guy that got killed for no reason earlier in the movie.
Yeah, that was crazy too.
Because obviously in the turn of the century, we had a lot of Chinese immigrants coming to this country, and they were obviously massively
indentured servitude.
Yeah, they were not treated properly, to say the least. One of the things I read that in the book, apparently he has a part in that killing, which is why it haunts him. The movie doesn't show that.
Technically he did there too, because
he just didn't do
actively
anything.
He actively went to help them.
He participated.
Yeah.
No, he did go to help them, but he just got kicked in the balls or something, and he had to stop.
Yeah, he kind of just sat there and watched. But in the book, I think he has like an active hand in it, like helping.
Like he probably,
I think. I didn't read too much into it, but But yeah, so
I'm gonna read the book, by the way, especially because it's short.
150
I already-
pages. You can bang that out in
I
like
already
a
got
night.
it on my phone.
Can you
Yeah.
send it to me?
Yeah.
One of the best scenes of the movie for me, my favorite scene, besides the boot, like showing that boot on the tree again, there's the scene where the redwood falls and he's just standing there sipping his coffee. It's a perfect metaphor for the film about how just like the cutting down of a redwood, of like one of the Earth's oldest things, and just sort of like just casually like, yep, whatever. Not that he didn't care. It's just like it's like it's monotony.
him,
Stuff
really.
you got to do,
Like-
but it's stuff you got to do to live, right?
Well,
You know?
besides that, it's just like such a profound thing that you're doing and which is what William H. Macy's character echoes throughout his time in the movie, of like, you're cutting down a massive old thing, and like, it's just a part of it. Life for these guys, it's just mundane, like Marvin has said. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
and it's like, again, it's that message of like, even the most mundane things are also extraordinary, no matter what. Everything echoes through time, has a singular thread that affects everything. So yeah.
Well, and imagine there's a sense of wonderment that you might see in his eyes if they'd showed him cutting down the first time he ever chopped down a giant tree. You might be able to see that on his face, but you know, you do it once and you're like, oh wow, that's crazy. You do it 1,000 times, like, yeah, just another day.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of these moments too. The other old guy, I can't find him on the cast list. I think it's John Deal who played Billy when he was friends with Arn, and when he reconnects with him, he's like, oh yeah, I remember you. And then you get you understand that he kind of probably has some sort of dementia. He's like, how is Arn? I haven't seen him in a minute. He like forgot he died. And Robert is kind of struck by that. He's like, oh, like, okay. And so like I feel like that's like the whole central theme of as like memory, right? Good and bad. Funny enough, I've been editing the video,
or even not knowing, like when he went back and he's like, I gotta wait here and I gotta live here just in case they come back, because they could have died, but maybe they got out, and so that not knowing thing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so if you're the type of person who usually checks their phone during like a slow movie, I think this movie, Train Dreams, will challenge you to kind of just sit with it, sit in silence. And then if you sit through the credits like we did, like, I feel like it's pretty haunting and beautiful. Just, you know, I don't know, the whole experience. It's just an experience. It's the only way to really describe it. It's not.
It really is.
Calling it a movie is like really not doing it justice, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
And then the way the movie comes full circle, where like, you know, again, like the American frontier and like the establishment of the America that we know, it is a big major player in this movie, but it's done in a subdued way where it is in the background, but it's still a big part of the movie, so much so that like, again, you're witnessing major events in history through the eyes of this one guy. And the way the movie comes full circle is beautiful, where like the beginning of the movie opens with him working on a railroad, like building company or whatever, establishing railroads essential for travel across the country. And the movie ends with him experiencing like flight for the first time. Right. Like, and the advent of space travel. Like, we've now, like, he witnessed being able to like an essential piece of travel for going across the country easily, and also something that may eventually take us to colonize other planets in the soul. Like, it's just an unbelievable 80 years. And it makes you actually think about like like how insane humankind is, like everything that we've done and invented, and like our travels, our experiences, our inventions. Like, we're an insane species that is squandering our time on this planet with weapons and violence and hatred and all this other shit.
That's the real tragic part. But yeah, like you said, that the time piece is like, it's like similar to like our bringing up, like from like the analog to digital age. It's like, it's very similar to that, like how we see like technology advance and stuff.
I mean,
we always think like, oh man, we're in this crazy period, but then you think about this guy's life and it's like, oh my God, he was in a crazy period too. Like, it's just all crazy.
It's very
Yeah.
similar. Think about in our lifetime, we witnessed the birth
Yeah.
of connectivity with cell phones and the internet, where we're talking over some invisible magical
It's crazy.
thing. Like, who the fuck knows even how the internet works? Like, really? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
we're witnessing the birth of like artificial intelligence and like, it's just crazy the progression of technology over the course of a very short period of time.
Yeah. It's so short. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in
At a
my
rapid pace.
is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about with this? Any specific scenes or moments that stuck out to you that you wanted to bring up? Or
Just that this, like how you said, the setting kind of being like the backdrop as far as like whatever was happening during the time, like everything that was happening. It reminded me of what's that movie? Leave the World Behind, where it was
a little bit.
the end of the world was like the backdrop, but like the main story was like more so the people.
It's also very similar to Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is a grander story.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are making connections of this movie to filmmaker Terrence Malick. Terrence Malick is a filmmaker who he makes these sort of, I guess, what you would call experimental movies. It's very similar to this, almost like identical. And so this movie was obviously heavily influenced by Terrence Malick. But yeah, beautiful movie, beautiful experience rather. I think the movie's greatest achievement is, like, again, taking that like common thing and making it feel consequential and big and large, because it is. I think this movie proves why we still need cinema. Like, we can't capitulate to companies like Netflix and Amazon that want to make easily digestible, barely have to concentrate on movies that you could just play in the background. Like, we need things like this.
I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
Netflix's approach is crazy.
This captures the significance of the very notion of human life through a man whose history would otherwise be forgotten. It's a devastating movie. It's beautiful. It's existential. It makes you reflect on your own life and history.
I do want to say, for what you just said, that was like a big point too, because after the tragedy happens, he's somehow seen as the weirdo going forward, and is like,
right.
If you think about what he's been through, like, why?
Right.
No, only one person really even like cared to reach out to him, which was the Indian guy,
Boomer,
with the shop. So it's just crazy. Got to do better.
Yep. Society can scar you in that way, where you don't really care what other people think or say. You're just in your own world, living your own life.
For sure.
And you kind of see that in this movie a lot. But
yeah. The other thing too, I want to reiterate is, like, I think I said it last week when we talked about or last time we recorded when we talked about our favorite movies of the year. Like, people got to stop with this. Oh, we just don't get good movies anymore. It's like, if you believe that, you're just not looking in the right place. You're literally just scrolling Netflix and like, that's it. Because
100%.
like,
well, I think Netflix has their own like model or algorithm in order to make a movie.
Yeah, I'm not targeting Netflix specifically. I'm just saying, like, if you're somebody who's saying, like, we just don't get movies like this anymore,
you're just not looking.
You're just
hard
not
enough,
looking. You're just
up.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I just
or you're not a human that has like
right
compassion and empathy. Like,
right, exactly.
Imagine watching this and be like, oh man, that was whack. Or like, not feeling anything.
I'm sure there's
like,
some people hated this movie.
I'm sure there are, like, but that's crazy to me.
I don't think this movie's for everybody. It does take. That's why
I actually disagree. That's crazy.
Well, so I opened it that way because, I mean, you're a little bit more open. Do you think you could have watched this movie, like, I don't know, 3 years ago before we started the podcast? Not trying to call you out. So. I'm just saying that you've been exposed now to more types of movies than maybe
I wouldn't have seen it. I definitely wouldn't have seen it, sure. But as far as like actually watching it and like being like, oh man, that was whack. No, there's no way.
I think you definitely have to have a certain.
Right. So if it was trending and you saw it and you're like, we'll just give it a try, you still would have enjoyed it.
For sure. Yeah. 100%.
Okay.
That's fair. Yeah. I think this movie requires you have a certain taste for certain types of movies. So I don't.
I just feel like it requires you having like maybe a soul, or maybe not a soul, but
well, forget the message. Like you still have to sit there and like just be in it, right? And a lot of people, especially nowadays,
that's fair.
Can't
yeah,
do
no,
that.
that's true. That is true. Yeah,
it's not about the content and absorbing it. It's about just like allowing it to
being open to.
Allowing it to even penetrate, because again, this is not something you could watch and enjoy on your phone. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so again, brilliant movie, brilliant experience, everything about it, nothing wrong with it. I totally understand how this couldn't be for everybody, but I would really challenge somebody out there with that opinion that they wouldn't like this or they didn't like it to watch it again, or watch it and really sit with it and watch it, experience it. Your phone, your other computer, watch it with your family, watch it with your friends or loved ones or people that you care about, because it's a really great movie to do that with. And just remember that, you know, our time here is short and our individual impacts might be small, but we are all undeniably part of this thread of history, but also in the universe, really, if you're a Carl Sagan fan like I am. So this has a 7.6 on IMDb. That is criminally low. This is a 10 out of 10 for me, no question.
Easy. Yeah. So easy.
Easiest 10 of my life.
Yeah, I'd give it a 9.
Whoa.
Whoa.
It's a
Doesn't
great
happen
story.
often, folks. That
Unbreached
does not
territory.
happen often.
He did give Eternal Sunshine a 9.
Wait,
I just want to say.
Did we didn't even go over, did you have any dusty gripes with this?
Did you have any dusty gripes?
No, like I said, it felt a little slow. I was waiting for something. I was waiting to find out what the adversary was going to be, and then when I realized, like, this is just his
The
life,
adversary's just
and
life.
we're living it. Yeah, and that's when I like so you know, that would have been my only gripe. It was a little slow at the start, but once I realized what it was, I didn't have that gripe. And so, like, finding complaints about a movie like this is just a guy living his life. Like, you could make a movie about me 100 years from now, and it would basically be very similar if you made it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any kids. When my DNA is not passed on, when I die, my life ends here. Like, and that's the story I lived is going to be largely monotonous, but there's going to be a few things in there that are going to make you cry and make you laugh. And that's what this movie is. And so it's just a great story. I love it.
Yep. Well said. Yeah. Run, don't walk, as the influencers say, to watch Train Dreams if you have not seen it already. If you have, leave a comment down below. We would love to hear your thoughts on it. We do this once a week, folks. You could check our schedule over on Discord. It's free to join. We don't spam you with shit. We just, post our schedule so people can watch along for the month, and also, trailers and news and stuff like that we happen to be sharing with each other. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like on it. We appreciate it. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple or one of the podcast platforms, leave a rating. It helps us out a lot. On YouTube, subscribe if you have not done so already. Hit the bell, because YouTube sucks at letting you know that your favorite channels are putting out new videos. That's a different conversation. But yeah, do all the stuff that people expect of you. The last time we were here, what did we talk about last time? Oh, Begonia. We watched Begonia, and it was amazing. So if you like this video and you want to hear our thoughts on Begonia, you can go check out that video. There will be a link coming up in the next screen. But otherwise, we appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll catch you next week.
Costa.
See ya.